Welcome, everyone. So wise crowds, one more wise crowds. Who is here for the first time? Just raise your hand just to see. Okay, we have Christine for the first time. Laura is always with us in many different meetings. And what we'll be doing? Practicing liberating structures and also combining liberating structures. So it's a gathering to discover these new possibilities using liberating structures. So we'll be doing this agenda. We just finished the attention presence. We are just doing some orientation. We'll be doing not abundant greetings, but we're doing impromptu networking, which is one liberating structure to get you connected. And then we'll be doing wise crowds, another liberating structure to dig in a real case that one of you will be bringing as a client. And then we'll be refining an agenda together using liberating structures, combining liberating structures. And then we'll be sharing. I don't think we have more than one group, but we'll be sharing our learnings and insights along the process. And then we close. Anything else, Carolina, for the start?
No, just if you want to send me to a group, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah. And as we are in a small group, we will have time to questions and answers and sharing. So it will be more easy to go. So impromptu networking. If you don't know, this is one of the simplest liberating structures and one of the more popular ones because it's easy to run and it always works in a good way. The purpose is to quickly share challenges, expectations, and build new connections with people. You have these two questions. How did you find out about liberating structures? And what do you hope to take away from this gathering? And how can you contribute to this group? So we'll have 4 minutes in a pair to discuss both questions, more or less 2 minutes per person. And then we'll be back in the main room. We'll combine you with another person. And then we have 3 rounds. Let me just double check the timing, Carolina. Yeah. Move. Okay. And when the time is over, the timer will be ticking on the top. When the time is over, a message will show up. You still have 30 seconds before you come in. So don't click on any button. Stay there. Finish your conversation. And then we send you again. Here we go.
That's the best kind of community.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Very generous.
Okay. I hope you had a very good conversation and just prepare another place. And are the same questions. So how did you find out about liberating structures? And what do you hope to take away? And how you can contribute with this group? Same questions. Another person, fun conversation, and
did you put the questions again in the chat, Carolina?
no, but it's there, and Christina got it.
She has. Okay, so here we go. 4 minutes.
Abandoned my my co.
Yeah, but it was just 30 seconds, so it's okay. Let me get the last round going.
So I had a very nice conversation. I don't know you, but and we are ready to meet someone else.
Yeah, last 4 minutes. Luis, don't hit the button. See you. Okay, maybe just a quick comment in the backstage. As a facilitator, it's so nice to see how people start to smile and get more at ease after 1-2 rounds of impromptu networking. So, third round, magic number. We are back.
We need more time, Fernando.
You always need.
I bet other people need more time too.
Yeah, I always remember Henry saying, we can do this during the whole session. No problem.
Just keep
So
talking.
let's just check quickly your relation with liberating structures. So we have 5 options. Know well and practice very often. Know a little and practice very often. Know well, but practice rarely. Know a little, practice really rarely. And what are liberating structures? Some people just don't know what it is still. Okay, let's see the results. Good mix.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea now is to get one of you as a client to do the wise crowd. So let me explain what is the wise crowds, and then you can volunteer yourself with clarity. So I'll put in the chat the steps. Basically, we have one person as a client with some challenge, some can be an event, a training, a program, anything that you are trying to use the liberating structures to work, and you want some ideas, some suggestions. So being the client, we will present the challenge and request for help in 3 minutes. So it needs to be precise. After these 3 minutes, the consultants, everyone else will be asking clarifying questions, trying to understand a little bit more of the challenge, not trying to solve it, just to understand the context. And after these 6 minutes, 3 plus 3, the client will be off the game. In face-to-face, they'll be just turning their backs, but here you can turn the camera off in mic and get ready to take notes, because consultants will go nuts discussing, creating options, recommendations. They'll just throw a lot of ideas together. And after these 9 minutes, the client will come back and share what was valuable for him or for her. If I'm the client, I'll be him. And 60 minutes. So this is the wise crowds. It's very similar to the Troika consulting. The difference, the basic difference is that you work with bigger groups, can be up to 5, 6, 7 people. And you have more time because you have more people contributing. And not everybody will be the client. So if you have enough time to do like 3 rounds in the same group, you have 3 different people being the clients. While in Troika, everyone has a chance to be the client. Any question about the structure itself? Very simple, right? So you just need a client who has a project that's something that you want some help.
Okay, I've got one. I'm happy to go unless somebody has a really urgent one, but I have one that's real and it's coming up and I'm starting to design, but I haven't completed it.
Enki was
Yeah,
almost
Enki-
getting there.
I
So-
do too. I also have something I need a wise crowd about, but I can. It's fine. I can try to. Haven't really started thinking about it yet. It's going to be quite contentious, so I need to be very careful about how I frame it, and I might not be the one leading it. So I just want to have some ideas going into the meeting.
Okay, and probably we'll get some ideas if you work in another challenge as well. Okay, so you have, what do you think, Carolina, about doing the wise crowds all together in the main room, and then we can work on the strings separate to get different strings?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so, oh, one more person is coming. Okay, Luis, so take a moment just to get your ideas together about the challenge, because we have just a short time to present. And we'll just welcome Nish Kumar and see where we can start.
I'm gonna put in the chat again the wise crowds for him.
And also the reference for the menu for people as well.
Then we have some resources if you want to open this link that I'm gonna put right now. So it's the website, and it's in a page that you have all the liberated structures here, like a menu. And if you click in one one of the icons, you go to that structure.
And maybe one tip for you, Luis, one thing that it's nice to have in your descriptions is what are the critical objectives that you want to achieve? So if you have them more or less laid out, it's good. And maybe another tip is that anything that you don't want to disclose, like names or anything, because we are recording this session. Even if it slips away, let us know. We can edit that part of the recording to get it away. Anything else, Carolina? That's new for us doing the main room. Usually in the breakouts, it's easier because people manage what will happen there. So I'll be the timekeeper. Let me get my timer ready. Ready, Luis?
Yep.
Okay, so here we go. With you.
Okay, so this Friday, I'm going to be working for the second time with a group, which is the management group of in a sport industry, which is interesting. These are people who are physical, who are sport trainers, and the department, the management group is 9 people, which is what I'm going to have in the room. They're young well, one is a very experienced manager. There are some with very little experience, and they're really, one is the director, and then the others are middle management, low to middle management, supervisors and such. Some have more experience, some have less. And in this team of 9, 4 people have, 4 people have been there for quite some time, but 6 have not. They're new, either new to this department, and in many cases, new to the organization as a whole. So it was their first 3-4 months together. So it's a very, very young team. What I did with them the first time was I used a profile instrument, and I gave them their individual profiles, psychological profiles, and their team profile. And we looked at that, and we tried to see what that meant and what kind of team and what were the strengths that they would have and what were some things they should be careful with. Now I'm going back in. It's been 3 months. I have 3 hours. 2 minutes? Okay, I have 3 hours. And my question relates to this portion of the 3 hours, which is going to be something like 30 minutes. And that's a little flexible, but it's not 5 minutes and it's not an hour and a half. But, you know, it could be 45, it could be 20, well, probably, yeah, something like that. And what I would like to do is close the meeting on feedback, for themselves to give everybody else some feedback on how they've experienced them in the team, what they appreciate about them. And I want it to be appreciative. I don't want it to be critical feedback. Open to hearing ideas, but 3 minutes. Oh, I thought I had 2 minutes left. Sorry, just 2 things I'll add. I know from the profiles that this is a group that doesn't easily share about themselves. 2, they're not, because of their sport buffs and all of that, they're not used to meetings and these kinds of things. So I want to make it, and they might not have all the lingo. So I want to make that easier for them. I'll stop there.
Nice. So 3 minutes for clarifying questions. Who has a question, just raise the hand and shoot. I have one. Males and females. What is the gender division?
2, 3, 4 females, 5 males. Yeah.
What would you
What-
consider success?
What I would consider success, that what comes out is real, as opposed to polite. And I would like them to get into something more meaningful, and this is a polite group. So I want to break that. It's not bad, but I want to make it a little more real.
What are the objectives for the whole 3 hours?
To help them look at their 3 months together. So it's a season thing, it's a seasonal thing. They've been at work at this for 3 months. So now it's time to look back on how did this new team fare over the 3 months. I interviewed all of them before walking into the session. So I'm going to share back some of what they said. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to get new people and the new employees and the tenured employees to go into fish bowls and describe what their experience was. And we're going to try to get to what are lessons learned and how do they want to build on what they've done this year to improve next year.
Do they all work together, Louise, in person, or do they all have their own little areas of responsibility? No, they work together on they contribute to a team goal or objective,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. It's not side by side, although they each have their own areas of work. It's somewhere in between. I mean, some teams are even more together than this one, but they do have enough that brings them common, and they do work in person because it's sports, so it's in person.
Do they coach? I mean, is this a way to frame it?
Yes, they teach and coach. Yeah.
So we're talking about
It-
appreciative feedback,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And so as coaches, they may be able to relate to that.
Oh, but
Okay.
they're sport coaches.
Yeah.
And in their current roles, none of them are coaching because they're all supervisors now.
Yeah, but they're familiar.
Yes, absolutely. We can use that analogy.
Okay, so we had 6 minutes. I think we had enough to discuss. So Luis, now you turn your camera off and the mic off and get ready to take notes, because these amazing consultants will go crazy. So you can unmute yourself, just raise your hand. It's a small group, you can manage to get the cue from everyone.
Yeah, and so my suggestions here is it should just start like throwing liberating structures that you think it's good here, and not so worry about the sequence, but just what are the liberating structures that it fits in this,
Mhm.
like as a brainstorming exercise. So for me, just like starting, what came to me was appreciative interview and helping heuristics. Too, that I think it's good that it's good there.
I think heard, seen, respected could take it deep if she wants to try to get deep.
Not sure how this fits, but it seems like if she could be vulnerable first, it would entice the others to maybe be vulnerable about sharing in a way that's real for them.
Yeah, I was thinking in what, so what, now what? It's a very nice structure to review, and also appreciative interviews to share successful stories from this period, maybe even beyond, just to get them more connected. And yeah.
I wasn't sure if the group was overcoming any challenges, but maybe minimal specs, like I'm thinking like what must do or what they must not do, right? So I'm not sure if there was any challenges within that working together for the past 3 months.
I want to go back to what, so what, now what? And doing a round robin with folks about what they experienced with a particular person, so what, now what? Because I think it is short, it is snappy. These are not people who are into self-disclosure. And it's very, I think she had said something that just made me think that it's, given their sports orientation, it might work very nicely.
Celebrity interview might be one if she could get the director to be the vulnerable one.
Oh, that's a good one.
And Anki, when she was talking about the mean specs, I was thinking about trees as well, to raise what it's maybe blocking their progress. It can be fun as well.
Mhm.
I've never used the simple ethnography, but I'm looking at the description, which is sort of noting specific behaviors. And I wonder if there's something like in the 3-hour meeting, people are given the task to note certain things that they appreciate, that they see, that could be used for the feedback at the end.
And I was wondering, yeah, helping heuristics, it's a nice one to ask and create different ways to ask for help and give help. Maybe some adaptation for feedback would be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And another one is generative relationships.
Star.
Good one for a team, and to see how we are really working together and where we need to improve as a team. So it's a good one. We have a list already. A big list.
We use 5 minutes, so we still have 4 minutes.
Nice.
Carolina, I don't see that last one on the menu. Is that in progress?
No, it's
What's it called?
Star.
Oh, star. Oh, I see. Generative relationships.
this
Thanks.
is a good one, and it's 25 minutes. I mean, in my experience, we use more than 25 minutes, but just to get like the map, it's a kind of a map that you can have. So it's 25 minutes, but then you know what to do after because you have some results there. She
What
mentioned,
else?
yeah, she mentioned fishbowl that she's already doing or something like that, right? Too.
Yeah, can pair up nicely with the celebrity interview as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe a shift and share. So then some people can share their learnings from this 3 months.
Yeah, but it's a small group, right? Maybe the fishbowl will be better for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always thinking, how many people more can we include in this? Who else needs to be there?
Yeah, but the shift and share, you can have 2 groups and it works.
Yeah, and shift, yeah.
Yeah. Or also the conversation cafe to understand the the past, the 3 months past. So what happened?
Mhm.
It's a good way.
I guess I'm thinking about the 3 hours, you know, because she said she has gathered interview data, so there's gonna be some data, there's gonna be fishbowl, you know, so it seems like whatever has to, if it needs, you know, it has to fit in well with the 3 hours of what they've already done. So like I was thinking what you said about the STAR generative relationships, I think that that's great because it offers data, but if it comes right when she's just done other data, then it's like the flow won't be so it's somehow, it seems like a few different options, but it has to fit in with not being too much of, you know, too much data, too much interactive, too much whole group, too much small.
Mhm.
And they're not used to meetings. So
Yeah.
also
But
not-
we are more in a mood of like brainstorming, and then we are gonna like gather from her more specifics. Okay, you know,
Mhm.
and maybe she can just say, okay, I prefer this than this data than the other one, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Maybe one last one that I would throw is drawing together for the future to get some inputs for what they want in the future. Can be a good one.
Maybe 9 whys, if again, she wants to really drill in on like, why is these honest conversations critical for team?
that's a good one.
Specific 9 whys.
Yeah, go in that specificity. It's good.
10 more seconds for 20 more structures.
I think we have enough for.
Okay, so we are up to the time.
Yeah, that is a good one too. Anyway,
Okay, Luis, come back.
I think we can have a workshop of 2 days, please, instead of 3 hours.
And now the idea, Luis, is to share what was valuable for you.
Well, couple of things. I love the fact that this is a like-minded community. I can hear in your comments, you're being careful about people, and just noticed in Christine the way you were talking about flow, and so that's really cool. Just to be able to be in a community with people who do similar things. There's not so many of us out there. So that's cool. I can't believe how many structures actually came out, and I wouldn't have spontaneously thought of as many of those. And so I'm going to go back in and look at them again. And what this sparked for me is that, especially, I can't remember who said it, but when somebody talked about the what, so what, now what, in terms of dealing with the feedback that they're going to get, that could be absolutely wonderful. And it brought me back to once that I did it. And there's such a, you can do these at a fast pace, which I think would work well with this team, something quite active. And maybe I find a way to change the pace when I want them to go deeper. But so I think it's interesting, how do you call them? The threads? You know,
Strings.
The streams?
Strings.
But putting a string together, I think would bring, which is not necessarily where I was, is going to be interesting to keep that pace and to keep it lively and to keep them engaged. So a lot of good things.
Nice. So let's do one more step. Let me show you on the screen what we'll be doing. So we'll be working in 2 groups. We'll be using this document. So we have all the structures are here, as you can copy and paste these blocks. And we have 2 slides. The client is the same for everyone. The consultant will be different. The idea is to rewrite the critical objectives as we heard, and as we discussed, and then people will be starting creating these strings. So it can be like this with some options in some stages. And if you have enough time, you can also craft some invitations.
Wow.
So we have some tips here on slide 4. Main thing is to write the critical objectives on the top because it helps us to design the string. Stay in these spaces of possibilities because there is no right or wrong string. We can keep creating them. So use and abuse of yes and copy and paste the links from the slides. Otherwise, people will look for some structure they don't find it. And one tip that we learned from experience is to first focus on completing the string and the flow, and then you start doing the invitations. Otherwise, people just get into the weeds of the invitation, but they don't have the string yet. So it makes more sense to get the flow going, and then if you have time. So we have 16, 17 minutes, Karuna?
Yes.
Okay, so let me think about the 2 groups.
I can put in the chat this information.
Yeah, I'll get one more person in. And I'll put him here. Okay. I'll put Pedro with me. So we have 2 groups. You'll be, Carolina, with Luis in one group, the room 2. And I'll be with the other group in room 1. So I update Pedro
Okay.
on the
perfect.
fly. So let's do 70 minutes.
Okay, and we have the link in the chat to work on the Google Slides.
Okay, so I'll pause the recording. Back in the main room. Carolina, I have to say that we went crazy and we did lots of different strings for the 3 hours, maybe a day.
3 days. Strings for 3 days.
So how do you want to share? Do we start with yours and go to ours?
Yeah, I think in our room was more quiet, maybe.
Okay, so I will share the screen just to get on the recording. It's showing okay on your side?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Maybe Luis can share with us.
sure. So what we discussed is the objectives were to deepen people's understanding of each other, get appreciative feedback, and start being more vulnerable with each other. So what we came up with for the 3 hours is part of this is going to have to be that I'm giving back some data. So that's like at the top. Then we might go to what, so what, now what, to help people make sense of the data. And then there's 2 possibilities. Either we go to design storyboards to capture it, go to 15% solutions in terms of, can you get to at least a little bit of that, and close doing helping heuristics or HSR to deepen into individuals. So working from data and from their work and what they need to change in the future, and then bringing it to themselves. Or there's the string that the way it shows here, finishing on the more what are you going to do about it, which is also a good place to finish. So 2 potential strings.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't get the HSR and how you will use it here. Can you elaborate on it, please?
Well, I'll invite somebody in the group to also chip in on that, but because I'm less familiar with HSR and helping heuristics. But the point of this whole thing is I want people, well, not the point, but one of the things I want to do is to get people to be more vulnerable and share feedback on a more personal basis with each other in terms of how they're working on the team. And the what, so what, now what, and storyboards and 15% solution are probably going to be more on the group and the way they work and things like that. And the HSR, or helping heuristics, is going to bring it more to the individual for feedback. But can anybody in my group be more eloquent than that?
Laura?
Respected Carolina, you love this one.
Laura too. We are a fan of the same one.
I guess, Louise, I would go with, I've been reflecting on this. I would go with you've got the data. Then you're going to share the data, right?
Yeah.
Then I would go to what, so what, now what? And then to 15% solution. So we've got this little action string going.
Mhm.
And I would make sure we know with 15% who's doing what. So we got some accountability kicked in there.
Yeah.
And then what I would probably do is either heard, seen, respected, to talk about, to encourage in pairs. So somebody's going to talk about, how it's felt to be heard, seen, respected in this group and what's that meant. And then helping, or you could do helping heuristics. I'm just more familiar with heard, seen, respected, and I've seen it just be extraordinarily powerful. And then debriefing that with what was this heard, seen, respected experience like for me, and how can we bring it back to our group as a whole? And that sense of vulnerability, I think it would leave them in awe. It's a place they're not used to being. And then you have the group email that we talked about, possibly, that would enable them to have this be an experience that they can reflect on in a week, in 2 weeks, whatever, to keep that those little embers alive. Because sports people, my experience with them is they like to, we're tough, we're rough, work through it, suck it up, let's move on. I don't know if that's this group, but that's my experience, consistent. And this helps them remember the vulnerability. If you're not first, you're off the field. I mean, well, my kids both were into very competitive fencing. You're off the strip, you got to be first. That's what really hopes. So that's sort of, after we've talked and just in processing that's where I'm coming up.
And the 1, 2 for all. Oh,
yeah.
You do 1, 2 for all to get to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Christine has a question, comment, addition.
I think Christine.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, and I haven't done, I'm thinking about using heard, seen, respected, but flipping it and inviting a team that's has similar patterns of not being real with each other, using the question of when have you not been heard, seen, or respected. So does that make sense? So instead of asking for when have you, which is the appreciative way, if you think you can hold the space, hold the container of anything that would come up, you're asking the people to flip the question. When have you not?
Yeah, but heard, seen, respected, it's about the story when we are not heard, seen, or respected.
That's the
structure.
Yeah.
The question
I thought I heard I thought I didn't hear that the focus was on when you haven't been.
Yeah, that question on the space below, it's like a debrief of the structure for the experience in the group, in the structure.
In other words, now that you have been heard and respected through this process, how does that feel?
And then maybe I put the mean specs on the what to do and what not to do. after all of that.
Mhm.
And it is minimums. Yeah, what do you minimally need to get it done, right?
Yeah. The structure guides people to get the maximum specs. So what we need to do or stop doing to get there. And then the second question is, if we do this, do we still get there? If you stop doing this, we still get there. So you shrink the list for the must do's and not do's,
Yeah.
which is also fun.
Yeah.
Pedram has a question, comment, addition.
Yes, actually, my question goes to Kristen's experience about, how she asked that interesting question. I wonder if she can tell us what will happen if somebody says, yes, I had this feeling of, not being heard or not be, somebody was not respectful. So what would we do if we have these kind of comments?
Are you asking me directly, Pedram?
If you have the experience of this question, because I
Yeah.
liked it, actually it happens a lot.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, please go ahead.
I mean, and again, I guess I would defer to people who would stay in the liberating structure space. What I have done with that, if when those issues come up, is move to more restorative practices of, if there's harm done, how is harm known, and how do you negotiate how to repair harm? And it's because this group is in a school system, and so they do a lot with restorative circles. So we would shift into that.
Mhm.
Does that need
Yeah.
repair?
Perfect. Thank you.
I think that happened in this structure, that you are in a very safe space because you are only in pairs to share your story. So it gives you more, space to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
And also, like in the end, you have the two pairs coming up with patterns. And so then we are not going to the stories, but we are going to patterns that happen in that team. So then we have very, very interesting things patterns that this team needs to take care of to not get into this space of not being seen, respected, or heard. So it's a very good, it's very profound, but safe at the same time. So people can be vulnerable.
Mhm.
In my experience. I mean, I never had an experience that people won't go there. Just once that I had a couple and they everybody pair up, and then they were like talking to each other. It was in person, and then they looked at each other and said, I want to change. I want another pair. We don't have anything to tell. And then and everybody was like starting talking, and I couldn't change the pairs. And I said, I didn't say anything. I just like, and they start talking, and the woman said, oh, we have to start talking now. I think this is a great opportunity to start talking. So anyway, that was a good one.
Therapy session inside the workshop. Yeah, sometimes it happens. But the beauty is that the group handles itself. So. Of course, we paid lots of attention, but at the end, we didn't have to do anything to interfere on the process. So we are coming close to the hour. Let's just share our craziness with Luis. It's nice to have the client in the room because you go more specific, but it's also nice to not have the client in the room, so you just fly away. And so I will just talk about these two first, and then Kristen, you can talk about the next one, and Pedro, chip in. Actually, Pedro brought one question that we should ask in the clarifying questions is, there was any issue about gender or culture to be considered in the process? So we didn't ask this question, but it was very nice to hear from him. So Luis, we thought about like starting with celebrity interview with the person, the top director, and then 9 whys to clarify purpose, and then review what happened in these 3 months and close up with the mean specs. Okay, what needs to be really done at the end to move forward? So that's one option, very light. This one, we got very excited to do the star. And as they are physical, use physical objects in a graph on the floor so they can move and see. Christine was saying about a camera on the top, filming and making fast forward at the end. We went crazy. But after the star is done, so we mapped the group together and then 9 whys to clarify purpose and get into this more conversational space of helping heuristics to be more vulnerable and learn how to help each other, and also drawing together to envision what it's coming. Kirsten, take it away for the next 2 strings.
Well, I'll share my perception, but my group needs to jump in if you had a different experience. So I think we did impromptu networking just because it's an easy way to help people make connections fast. And it could be about something positive, and the appreciative inquiry would be a way to deepen the quick comments about appreciations into something more specific of a, more robust, I guess. The celebrity interview, I think the idea that we had was to figure out whether it's the director who probably holds power or somebody who's would be willing to go deep, is to talk about something that would be vulnerable, things either where things failed or where the feedback wasn't given, etc. Star would start to help people see the whole again, and 15% solutions would give them concrete out of the data-based activity, the star, to move forward. The last one, I don't.
The bomb.
Remember. The bomb. You do the bomb. You do the bomb.
Yeah, the bomb is actually, I like when, for example, Nancy White is one of our mentors, and she loves to keep the group in the edge, in a sharp way. So impromptu networking to start, star to map. And this is already, it can be sharp if people have some topics to develop, for example, in diversity or in opportunities to work together. Anyway, and then trees. So you add another layer of what needs to stop and or to start, and then wrap up with 15% solutions. So that's another way to, it's more risky, but it's also fun.
The only other thing I would add maybe that we talked about, Louise, is if there's a way some of that data that you collected could be disassembled and used to build this, that they could use it to build the star.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Can I just ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
When in the 2 that use the 9 whys around purpose, what purpose are you digging into? The purpose of the meeting, the purpose of the group, the purpose.
The team, the group, yeah.
Okay.
Why do they exist?
Okay.
Mhm.
But can also be adapted to the purpose of the meeting if you need to clarify the purpose of the meeting.
Or the purpose of the cycle, if you're saying you're doing 3-month iterative cycles, like it could be, what's the purpose of this next 3 months?
Mhm.
Ah,
Good point.
that's interesting. Yeah, thank you. Wow.
Maybe we have 3 minutes to close here, and I would love to listen to Louise a bit. Can you, what is your takeaway from this bomb?
Well, the huge takeaway is there's just so many ways to skin a cat. And there's just so many ways to, that's actually a horrible expression, but anyway, there's just so many ways to go about it. And having different people look into it and coming out with different approaches is really, really helpful to break out of that. And I find that, you know, one of the things about working on my own, I miss that tremendously. And I love this opportunity to break the mold and say, okay, it could be something completely different. So I really like that. I didn't take the a picture of what you shared, Fernando. Can I have your slide when you're done?
Not in the document.
I'll be able to. Oh, it's in the document. Okay.
Yes.
So you
And-
still have access to the document, so we'll
Okay.
send you back the link in an email, so you can still refer to
Perfect.
the strings. Yeah.
And
So
I just-
I'd like to close on a huge thank you to everybody. Thank you so much for digging into my thing.
Mhm. And I just went to like 1 minute, but what is your takeaway, Laura, Christine, and Pedro?
My takeaway is one I keep taking away, and that is the importance of throwing it on the wall, seeing what sticks, reflecting on it, kicking it, and then coming back and being open to changing it. And that to me is this is such an iterative process.
Well, I just had a really fabulous morning, so I really appreciated the intuitive approach to looking at the menu and not really thinking much, but just trusting your instincts at first to get things there. And then the rigor and the thoughtfulness of my small group really like questioning each other about how might the methods work. So it was just this balance of very creative and open and very rigorous and skilled. And I think I'm sitting with that comment actually about that couple that you mentioned at the end, and like trusting that like the group can hold, like people can hold, the group will hold what comes up. And how do we be a little bit more bold? I like the bomb too. How to be a little bit more bold in these times to help groups step into spaces where they might not normally step.
Mhm.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, just being brief. I really like when Christine just raised with her creativity, the thing about the star and using, something, the floor and having the camera. And it was fantastic how creativity can make those things more effective. And when Fernando told me that one of his friends can do and decide about the techniques on the spot, and the flow of the group can just guide him or her to decide about the next step, next technique. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you all. Yeah, it's always good to have this space to learn from each other and to have this collective intelligence going. Thank you. Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, and hope to see you again next month to practice more and learn more.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
take care.
Bye.